Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. 8 trucks bound to Gaza move from Rafah Border. Israeli hostages to be freed before peace summit in Egypt to be chaired by Trump and LCC. Russian air defense units destroy 32 Ukrainian drones in overnight defense operations, while Ukrainian drones target Moscow, Bryansk. China and Philippines trade blame over boat collision in disputed South China Sea. The Philippines says Chinese ship deliberately rams one of its government vessels, while Beijing blames Manila for incident. And in ICC Women's World Cup, hosts India are in action against Australia in Visakhapatnam. India have started off strong after Australia's skipper Elisa Healy won the toss and opted to field. Updates from West Asia now. Thousands of Gazans streamed north along the coast on Saturday back to their abandoned homes as the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas entered into second day. A steady stream of people, the vast majority on foot, crammed onto a coastal road in the central Gaza, heading north to see what might remain of their homes. It was a repeat of emotional scenes from an earlier ceasefire in January. Others headed to different parts of Gaza in the south. US President Donald Trump and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will chair an international summit to discuss Trump's proposal to end Gaza conflict in Sharm el-Sheikh on Monday. The meeting will involve leaders from more than 20 countries, including French President Macron and UK PM Starmer. Prime Ministers of Italy and Spain will also attend the summit. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has also confirmed the attendance. The Egyptian presidency in a statement said the meeting will aim to end the Gaza conflict, enhance efforts to achieve peace and stability in West Asia, and usher in a new era of regional security and stability. Meanwhile, Hamas said it will begin releasing Israeli hostages before Trump chairs an international summit in Egypt on his peace plan for the region. As part of the deal's first phase, Hamas will free the captives, 20 of whom Israel believes are still alive, in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Meanwhile, 8 trucks bound for Gaza were seen crossing from Egypt's side of the Rafah border, crossing early on Sunday following newly implemented ceasefire agreement. According to the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, humanitarian aid will be rammed up into Gaza and permitted to travel freely between North and South Gaza on the 2 main roads. Hundreds of trucks per day are expected to surge into Gaza carrying food and medical aid. According to an Israeli security official, the trucks will carry mostly food, medical equipment, shelter equipment, fuel and cooking gas. Equipment needed to fix damaged infrastructure such as water lines, sewage and bakeries will also be allowed in. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of people attended a rally in Tel Aviv ahead of the expected release of Israeli hostages by Hamas. Participants expressed hope that it would be the last rally of its kind, as everyone hopes that the hostages will return as provided for in the agreement to end the Gaza conflict, despite remaining gaps in the following stages of the talks. Addressing the crowds, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff said the hostages are coming home and praised Trump's for making a Gaza ceasefire and hostage return deal possible.
Oh, a debt of deep gratitude to President Trump. In the worst of times, he refused to accept the idea that peace in the Mideast was out of reach. He brought together nations once divided by generations of conflict and showed us that shared peace is stronger than shared pain. History will remember that when others doubted, President Trump believed.
For 2 years, we are waiting for this day, for this moment. It's very, very exciting us. All of us feel happy for the family, for the hostages. That's finally, we hope, finally we will see all of them earlier as possible. And we think that without the President Trump, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen.
Wow, it's unbelievable. Like this moment should have been 2 years and a few days ago. Like it never should have happened, but if it happened, we should have released all our hostages, just the normal people like me. I think about my children, my 2 sons, and it's a situation that we had to bring everyone home 2 years ago, but it's better 2 years later than never, and it's such a special moment for us to have everyone home.
U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner visited Gaza on Saturday as post-conflict planning ramped up. Witkoff and Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, who helped negotiate the agreement, were taken on a tour of Gaza by the Israeli military along with Admiral Brad Cooper, the top U.S. commander in the region. They later stopped at an Israeli military base where preparations were being made to receive the hostages and held talks on the military situation in Gaza with commanders. As part of a ceasefire deal that is bringing an end to 2 years of conflict, Gazans are awaiting a surge of humanitarian aid, and Israel is preparing for a handover of around 20 living hostages held by Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited Sheba Medical Center in Ramat Gan on Saturday. Israeli PM's office in a social media post stated Netanyahu visited the medical facility in order to review preparations for receiving hostages from Gaza after their return to Israel on Monday. Netanyahu, along with several top officials, toured the facility and praised the medical teams for their readiness to welcome the hostages and their families. U.S. President Donald Trump is set to arrive in Israel on Monday morning. During his visit, Trump will hold a meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The tightly scheduled visit also includes a private meeting with families of hostages at the Knesset, followed by a public address to Israeli lawmakers. Russian air defense units destroyed 32 Ukrainian drones overnight into Sunday over regions including Moscow, Bryansk and Kursk, according to TASS, citing the Russian Defense Ministry. The operation reported this morning involved Panzer S and S-400 systems with no casualties or significant damage noted. This follows a surge in drone attacks amid escalating tensions with Ukraine targeting Russian oil refineries, prompting retaliatory strikes on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Ukrainian officials have not commented, but NATO allies, including Poland, have scrambled jets in response. No further incidents have been reported, although analysts warn of intensified aerial warfare as winter nears. A crashed helicopter was found against a bridge in Huntington Beach, Southern California on Saturday afternoon, injuring 5 people just before the annual Cars and Copters fundraising event. 5 people, 2 on board and 3 bystanders were injured and taken to hospital. Emergency crews respond quickly, transporting those injured to a local hospital, and officials are investigating the cause to ensure the safety of future events in the area. Opposition leader from United Seychelles, Patrick Hermini, has won the Seychelles presidential runoff, securing 52.7% of votes on Sunday. Hermini won the race against incumbent Wewel Ramkalawan's 47.3% as per Electoral Commission Seychelles official results. The race, following no majority in the September 27 first round, centered on climate vulnerability, rising sea levels, economic pressures and a heroin crisis affecting up to 10% of the 120,000 population. Hermini pledged to slash living costs, bolster public services, combat drug addiction and cancel a controversial 70-year Qatari lease on Assumption Island near Al Dabra UNESCO site, citing sovereignty interference. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended congratulatory wishes to the newly elected Seychelles president. Posting from his official social media account, he said, and I quote, "Heartiest congratulations to Dr. Patrick Hermini on his victory in the presidential elections in Seychelles. The waters of the Indian Ocean are our shared heritage and nourish the aspirations and needs of our people. I'm confident that our time-tested and multifaceted relations will deepen and gain further momentum in his tenure as president. My best wishes to him for the tenure ahead. And Cameroonians in the commercial capital Douala began voting on Sunday in a presidential election where incumbent Paul Biya, the world's oldest ruler at 92, is widely expected to maintain his 43-year grip on power despite an energized opposition pushing for change. Biya's opponents include former government spokesperson Issa Chiroma, who has drawn large crowds demanding an end to the veteran leader's long tenure. Chiroma's bid has drawn endorsements from a platform of some opposition parties and civic groups. However, analysts say that Biya, in power since 1982, is likely to be re-elected given his firm control of state machinery and the fragmented nature of the opposition. Madagascar's Prime Minister called for calm and unity on Saturday after some soldiers joined youth protesters in Antananarivo's May 13 Square. The protests, inspired by Gen Z-led movements in Kenya and Nepal, began on September 25 over water and electricity shortages, but have since escalated, posing the most serious challenge to President Andry Rajoelina's rule since his re-election in 2023. Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina said in a group attempted illegal and forcible seizure of power a day after some soldiers joined protests that started last month. The elite CAPSAT troops who helped the Madagascar president seize power in 2009 urged other soldiers to support the youth-led protests. The United Nations says at least 22 people have died and 100 injured since September. The government disputes this, with Andry Rajoelina saying 12 deaths occurred. Rajoelina condemned attempts to destabilize the country and called for unity to defend constitutional order. He encouraged dialogue to end the crisis. And let's see what's happening around the world. Across the EU, medicine shortages are causing big problems for pharmacists and patients. In Belgium, shelves are often empty, with dozens of drugs missing at once. A recent EU report found 136 critical shortages between 2022 and 2024, including antibiotics and heart medicines. The Colombian army has introduced its first drone battalion to help fight illegal armed groups like guerrillas. These groups have started using drones to attack soldiers and civilians, changing how conflict happens in the country. The army's new drone unit will be used for both defense and attack. Venezuelan people living in Argentina and Colombia gathered on Saturday to pray for the release of political prisoners. Their goal was to ask for their freedom before October 19, the day when Saints Jose Gregorio Hernandez and Carmen Rendiles will be canonized. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Spanish island of Ibiza ravaged by floods.
Construction isn't just about steel and concrete. It can also be about restoring a hillside or creating homes that can protect both us and our planet.
This wattle and daub technique is called skin and bone of a structure. So here we have used bamboos cut into strips and weaved together made as a panel. In that gap we fill it with mud and make it as a skin for it.
The trucks would just come by, dump the illegal waste and leave. Then we got some people to help and our Anand Van urban forest team came into existence. Together we must have cleared about 30 to 40 tons of garbage out of this place.
One of the reasons for this structure that we have created here is to try and see if we can halt or reduce the rate of erosion. This is like a natural embankment for the forest land.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Weather updates now. Floods caused by torrential rains have killed at least 41 people in Mexico in recent days and left behind a trail of destruction. Mexico's civil defense authorities reported intense rainfall in 31 of 32 states, causing rivers to overflow, flooding entire villages, triggering landslides and collapsing roads and bridges. The central state of Hidalgo has been among the worst affected areas, with authorities there reporting at least 22 dead, 1,000 homes damaged and 90 communities inaccessible to rescuers. Meanwhile, authorities in areas off the Pacific coast are keeping a close eye on tropical depression Raymond and remnants of Priscilla, which was once a hurricane. Raymond is expected to hit the southern part of Baja California over the weekend, according to the U.S. National Hurricane Center. Major U.S. cities like New York and Boston on Saturday braced for a powerful coastal storm expected to impact millions along the East Coast. The nor'easter storm is expected to bring heavy rainfall and possible flash flooding from the Carolinas to southern New England. Wind gusts could exceed 89 kilometers per hour along coastal areas as the storm reaches peak intensity from Sunday into Monday. Flooding disrupted transport on the Spanish island of Ibiza for the second time in 2 weeks as heavy rain hit the Mediterranean regions. The main motorway to the airport was closed, public transport was halted and rainwater seeped into the terminal. Operations were suspended for over an hour with 24 flights cancelled. In Mallorca, 19 flights were cancelled while floodwaters in Ibiza and Formentera left vehicles stranded. Army emergency units were deployed and mass telephone alerts warned residents to avoid unnecessary travel and waterways. Power outages affected hundreds and lightning strikes, and Valencia seeing over 570 storm-related incidents as intense rain continue. China and Philippines traded blame over boat collision in South China Sea on Sunday. The Philippines said a Chinese Coast Guard ship fired its water cannon at a vessel belonging to Manila's Fisheries Bureau on Sunday morning. The incident took place near Thitu Island, part of the Spratly Islands, where Beijing has sought to assert its sovereignty claims for years now. While China's Coast Guard said the incident occurred after a Philippine vessel entered waters near Sandy Cay, ignored repeated stern warnings from the Chinese side, and dangerously approached the Chinese ship. Confrontations between Philippine and Chinese vessels occur frequently in the contested waterway, which Beijing claims nearly in its entirety, despite an international ruling that its assertion has no legal basis. China's Ministry of Commerce accused the United States of double standards on Sunday following U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement of an additional 100% tariff on all Chinese imports effective November 1st. The unnamed spokesperson labeled the move a typical example of hypocrisy, arguing it ignores U.S. export controls on critical software while punishing Beijing's rare earth restrictions for national security. China vowed to resolutely safeguard its interests and is not afraid to fight, as per the statement, amid escalating tensions that could raise total U.S. tariffs to 130%. As of October 13, no further U.S. response from the White House. Analysts warn of global supply chain disruptions in EVs and tech. The Bangladesh Army has detained 15 officers over allegations of crimes against humanity. The move follows arrest warrants issued by the International Crimes Tribunal. 15 Army officers, including 14 still in service, were taken into custody after the International Crime Tribunal issued warrants for 30 individuals in 2 separate cases in their alleged role in enforced disappearances and torture. One senior officer remains unaccounted for. The Army says it is committed to justice and awaits the official charge sheet to decide further action. The farmers, brimming with hope, have expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi by calling the landmark initiatives launched yesterday a great step that paves the way towards the bright future of Indian agriculture.
Walking towards us, it was a pause moment of my life. It was like a wow situation.
जैसे वो आए तो एकदम उनकी चमक देख के हम शब्द नहीं है कि क्या बोले अब एकदम अलग था वो मोमेंट.
ऐसा लगा कि ये कोई प्रधानमंत्री नहीं है, हमारे घर के आदमी.
प्रधानमंत्री मत्स्य प्रदाय योजना एक स्टार्टअप फार्मर्स के लिए बहुत बड़ी होप है.
मेरे आराध्य रहे हैं, मेरे प्रेरणा स्रोत रहे हैं, मेरे गुरु रहे हैं और मेरे पूरे जीवन का इम्पैक्ट उनके छोटे छोटे एडवाइस, उनके छोटे छोटे बातों को लेके परिवर्तित होता रहा है.
उनसे मिलके मतलब जो थेरेपी हमें पूरी गार्डनिंग करके, पूरी एक्वाकल्चर फार्मिंग करके नहीं मिल रही है, वो आज उनसे मिलके चलते चलते बात हो गई तो अच्छा लग रहा है कि एक नेचुरल थेरेपी सी मिल गई.
जैसे उन्होंने वैल्यू एडिशन के बारे में बोला, उन्होंने जैसे एक छोटा सा आइडिया दिया, अब उनके दिमाग में कहाँ से आया. पर आइसक्रीम आज तक हमने भी नहीं सोचा, पहली बार सोचा है. अब इसके ऊपर विचार करेंगे और ज़रूर कुछ करेंगे।
नरेंद्र मोदी जी से जब मिले तो उनको हमने ये मिनी ट्यूबर्स दिखाया, उन्होंने ये आलू देखा, उनको इस बारे में पता था हॉरिजॉन्टल फार्मिंग और एरोपोनिक्स के बारे में, तो उन्होंने देखते ही बोला कि ये तो जैन आलू है। उन्होंने हमें इस जैन आलू की उपाधि दी है इस आलू को।
In a landmark development, the next stage of the Indian housing project in Sri Lanka commenced on Sunday. The event witnessed the formal handover of the entitlement documents to 2,000 beneficiaries from Indian origin Tamil community in Sri Lanka's upcountry region. The houses are part of the fourth phase of the Indian housing project that was announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his visit to the upcountry region in 2017. Speaking at the event, Sri Lankan President thanked the Indian government for the assistance in supporting Sri Lanka.
The government of India has extended substantial financial assistance to Sri Lanka. The support plays a crucial role in strengthening the Sri Lanka's economic stability.
Meanwhile, Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Santosh Jha highlighted the scale and depth of project, reinforcing India's holistic approach to community empowerment.
Firm in our support to Sri Lanka, our support for the Indian origin Tamil community is part of this overall effort. Soon we will celebrate the festival of Diwali. May these houses under the Indian housing project illuminate countless lives.
The Nobel Prize in Economics honors groundbreaking contributions that shape how we understand markets, behavior and policy. Established in 1968 by Sweden's central bank for its 300th anniversary, the award recognizes pioneers in fields ranging from game theory and behavioral economics to poverty alleviation and financial stability. Though not part of Alfred Nobel's original will, it stands alongside the other Nobel Prizes as one of the most prestigious honors in the world of ideas. More in this report.
The Nobel Prize in Economics, officially the Swiu Rius Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences, was created in 1968 by Sweden's central bank. Though not part of Alfred Nobel's original will, it's awarded with the other Nobel Prizes and widely recognized as one. The prize honors major advances in economics, spanning theory like game theory, empirical research such as poverty and labor, and impactful policy innovations. The former US Federal Reserve Chair, Ben Bernanke, won the award in 2022 for policy.
From 2006 to 2014, I was involved in a global financial crisis where the problems in the financial sector caused tremendous problems in the real economy, both here and around the world. And this, and thinking about these issues made me very determined to do everything I could, along with my other policymakers, my colleagues, to try to prevent the financial system from melting down.
Though called the Nobel Prize for Economics, many winners weren't economists. Daniel Kahneman, 2002, was a psychologist. Elinor Ostrom, 2009, a political scientist, and John Nash, 1994, a mathematician known for game theory. Joseph Stiglitz, an economist, won the prize in 2001 for extending our understanding of economic measures in society.
Well, GDP was originally created as a measure of market economic activity, but has increasingly become used as a measure of societal well-being. Wasn't designed for that, and it doesn't measure that. And changes in the structure of our economy and our society have made it increasingly poor as an indicator of societal well-being.
Amartya Sen, the only Indian citizen to win the Economics Nobel in 1998, was honored for work on poverty and social choice. Indian-born American Abhijit Banerjee won in 2019 for his experimental approach to fighting global poverty. They joined some of the most influential economists in history to receive the Nobel Prize in Economics. Milton Friedman in 1976, Sir John Hicks 1972, Paul Samuelson 1970, and Robert Solow 1987. Bureau Report, DD India.
And time now for sport. West Indies are in counter-attack mode against India in the last session of day 3 of the second test at Arun Jaitley Stadium in New Delhi. West Indies opener John Campbell and Shea Hope built a solid 100-run partnership for the third wicket, leading the fight back against India. As a result, India captain Shubman Gill has been forced to bring back pacers from one end. West Indies were bundled out for 248 in their first innings, which led to a follow-on. Opting to bat first in the game, India declared their innings at 518 for 5. Yashasvi Jaiswal was the top scorer with knock of 175, while Shubman Gill also helped the hosts with an unbeaten 129. Updates from the ongoing clash between India and Australia in the ICC Women's ODI World Cup 2025. Put into bat, Pratika Rawal and Smriti Mandhana have given India a strong start. The duo has set the tone with boundaries in the early stages of the match. Both have scored a half-century, and with this, Mandhana became became the first women cricketer to cross 1,000 ODI runs in single calendar year. Earlier, Australia skipper Elisa Healy won the toss and opted to field. Australia included Sophie in the playing 11 and benched Georgia Wareham. Meanwhile, India's playing 11 is unchanged. That's all for this edition of the Eat India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.